Hello everybody! Now that December is over, let's talk about each game the Suns have played in this brutal stretch of games. The Suns destroyed the Lakers. If you told me Luka scored 20 points in the first quarter before this game, I would have thought the Suns would be down at least by 8 points. But nope, the Suns were able to hang around with Luka offensively and had the game tied at the end of the first quarter. It helps that Book finally had a good quarter of basketball. He had 11 points, and it helped that Ryan Dunn is back providing much needed energy on rebounds and trying to dunk everything. Sadly, in the second quarter though, we found out that Book was out because of a groin injury. It sucks that this team was just starting to get healthy, and now the Suns' best player is going to be out for a couple of weeks. But again, our guys showed that they have heart and didn't get down on themselves. Dylan Brooks went off in the second quarter and scored 15 points, while other guys like Boué, Collin, and Royce were playing amazing defense and hitting threes. Mark Williams didn't score a lot in the second quarter, but his defense and offense were really crucial to the Suns' run. It's been a while since I've seen a Suns center be able to get a stop and be able to score on the other side just by rim running. The Suns were able to end their first half with a 14-point lead. In the third quarter, it was still the Dylan Brooks show. It felt like every time he got to his turnaround midi that it was going in. And the Suns continued to score in transition off the Lakers' turnovers or rebounds to get the lead up to 19 points at the end of the third quarter. I didn't realize till the fourth quarter that Royce had 11 assists. Usually I don't like when Royce has to make passes because he always has one or two passes that just don't make any sense. And Collin decided that he was going to make sure that the Lakers didn't make this game close in the fourth quarter. But man, he was cooking out there. This man hit 4 threes in the fourth quarter and he made it look easy every time. This game was basically over with 5 minutes left in the game and the Suns won by 17 points. I'm just proud of how this team played with no Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and Grayson Allen, especially against a Lakers team that were on a 7-game winning streak and they beat them on their home court. The Suns got destroyed by the Rockets. The Rockets are the only team that have held the Suns under 100 points this season. The biggest reason the Suns lost this game is they didn't shoot good at all while the Rockets were hitting everything. If you look at the box score, the Suns attempted 100 shots while the Rockets only shot 76. If you just looked at those numbers, you would think the Suns beat the Rockets by 20 plus points. But the Suns were not hitting anything in this game. They shot 39% from the field and 14% from 3, while the Rockets shot 59% from the field and 55% from 3. The Rockets didn't have Sengun in this game, but KD and Amen Thompson had no problem and took over this game. Dylan Brooks tried his best to make this game close, but nobody else stepped up to help him out. And that's the story of the game. The Rockets made their shots while the Suns couldn't. And that's not surprising, especially with how good the Rockets defense is and how many big lineups the Rockets can put out there. Like their starting lineup in this game was Amen Thompson, who's 6'7", Steven Adams, Jabari Smith, and Kevin Durant are 6'11", and the Suns only had 2 guys that are 6'7" or more. I know the Suns like to start Royce because of his shooting, but I'd rather have Ryan Dunn out there because Dunn is longer, more athletic, and a better defender that will get rebounds. I also have to give a shout out to Boué. He's been playing important minutes for the Suns and he legit impresses me every time he's out there. In this Rockets game, he scored 18 points in 18 minutes. That's really impressive for a player that's on a 2-way contract. The Suns beat a healthy Minnesota team in a close game with no Devin Booker or Jalen Green. I thought this game was just going to be another L for the Suns because coming into this game, Brooks was questionable for Achilles soreness. And with what happened to Tyrese in the NBA Finals, I thought Brooks wouldn't play, but he ended up playing. And who knows if the Suns would have won this game without him. Brooks and Oso were the ones that stood out to me in the first quarter. Brooks at some point had half of the Suns' points in the first quarter, and Oso was making good decisions with the ball in his hands. That pass he made to Collin, who was cutting to the rim, was chef's kiss. At the end of the first quarter, the Suns had a 6-point lead. In the second quarter, the Suns bench were able to get the lead up to 8 points with Collin and Boué hitting threes. It's just wild how good the Suns bench has been this season. When they're playing a 2-way player that they signed in November, heavy minutes. And went off in the second quarter and scored 9 points in 5 minutes to keep the game close. Mark also went off and it felt like he was just everywhere. He was rim running and scoring with some crazy finishes. At halftime, the Suns had a 4-point lead. In the third quarter, the Suns and Wolves were trading buckets until Rudy decided to play dirty and push Mark Williams when he was in the air. Rudy ended up getting ejected and Minnesota had to play Naz Reid more minutes. But Minnesota was still able to tie the game up at the end of the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, the bench came in clutch again and won a 7-0 run and got the lead up to 11 with 8 minutes left in the quarter. And most of that was because Collin went crazy and hit 2 threes. But Ant checked in with 8 minutes left and was able to cut the lead to 4 with 6 minutes left. The Suns and Minnesota continued to trade buckets and the game got really close. The Suns had a 3-point lead with 1 minute left, and Ant was able to score in a layup to cut the lead to 1 with 9 seconds left. But the Suns had the ball, so Minnesota had to foul. Collin was able to make both of his free throws, and the Suns were able to get a stop to win this game. I'm really impressed with the way the Suns played this game. They were active throughout this game and always had a response to Minnesota run. I like how they're letting star players go off and just trying to stop everything everyone else. The Suns got dominated by the Thunder. The Thunder in the first quarter were like a machine. If the Suns missed a shot or turned the ball over, the Thunder would always score. Even if the Suns played good defense, the Thunder would always score. I knew this game was going to be tough with no Devin Booker or Jalen Green, but I didn't think the Suns would be down as much as 20 in the first quarter. I had a little hope in the second quarter that the Suns could cut the lead to single digits when they went on a 9-2 run to cut the lead to 13. But again, guys, the Thunder are just a machine out there. Someone on the Thunder would always hit a tough shot and get a stop to increase the lead. At the end of the second quarter, the Thunder went crazy and hit 6 threes to get the lead up to 26. That basically ended the game for the Suns. The Suns were never able to get the game close again, and I don't blame them at all for this loss. It's tough to beat a Thunder team that's 23-1 on their home court, especially with no Devin Booker and Jalen Green. What makes the Suns a good team is that when Devin Booker is playing, Brooks and Collin get more space to operate, because Booker is either going to get doubled or is a threat to hit a shot from everywhere. And when those two are playing with no Devin Booker against the top 5 defense, it's going to be hard for them to score, especially with all the attention on defense. The Lakers were able to beat the Suns in a close game with some help from the refs. In the first quarter, you could already tell this game was going to be a ref show. Dillon Brooks didn't do anything crazy and got called for a technical foul 2 minutes into this game. But when LeBron ran over Brooks twice, it was just a common foul. The refs in this game should have just been wearing Lakers jerseys after halftime, because the Lakers had 23 free throws while the Suns had 6. The Lakers had a 5-point lead late in the first quarter, but the bench mob of Goodwin, Royce, and Dunn erased that lead pretty quickly. The Suns were able to close the first quarter with a 10-2 run that gave them a 4-point lead. The MVP of that run has to be Goodwin. That man was everywhere defensively and helped spark that run with his passing and rebounding. In the beginning of the second quarter, the Suns' biggest lead was 8 points. But again, the refs came in clutch for the Lakers and kept giving them soft calls that led to them getting free throws. I also have to admit that the Suns didn't help themselves either by letting the Lakers get offensive rebounds, so the game was tied up at halftime. And the second half of this game was just as bad as the first half. LeBron started off the third quarter by pushing a ref, but obviously didn't get ejected. But we all know that if Brooks did that, he would have been ejected. The Suns' offense went cold to end the third quarter, and the Lakers had an 8-point lead. The Lakers continued to make their free throws and had a 20-point lead early in the fourth quarter. But once the refs finally started giving the Suns calls, the Suns were able to cut the lead to 5 with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. It's wild how the Lakers aren't able to hold a lead when they don't get free throws on every play. And the Suns showed they just don't quit and got the lead with 12 seconds left in the game. But of course, instead of giving LeBron a foul for landing in Dillon Brooks' landing space, they're ready to give Brooks a technical and eject him from the game. And instead of this game ending in a game-winning shot, it ends with the refs calling a foul for LeBron and the Lakers won. The Lakers had 43 free throws in this game while the Suns only had 25. It really took the Lakers getting 43 free throws to beat the Suns by 2 points. The Suns beat the Warriors in a close game. The first half of this game was just the Suns and Warriors going back and forth with each other. Dillon Brooks started off really hot. He had 13 of the Suns' first 15 points in the first half of this game. I know Book is coming back from an injury, but man, it was tough to watch him in that first half. In 16 minutes, he had 2 points and was 1 for 7 from the field. Book is our best player, but if you watch that first half, you would think it's Dillon Brooks. The bench was also really good in the first half. They were the reason this game didn't get too bad because they were attacking the rim, getting rebounds, and hitting threes. They did their job by making sure the game was tied up when the starters came in with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. And this is where you want Book to show for his team. But man, he was just terrible. He had a 3-point shot that had me shaking my head, but Brooks came in clutch to make sure the game didn't get too ugly. The Warriors had a 7-point lead at halftime. Early in the third quarter, the Warriors were able to get the lead up to 14 with a 10-0 run, but Book finally woke up and scored 9 points. The Suns were able to tie the game up with an 18-4 run with 5 minutes left in the quarter. The Suns and Warriors continued to trade buckets, but the Warriors ended the third quarter with a 1-point lead. Collin started cooking early in the fourth quarter and gave the Suns a 4-point lead. Goodwin, Dunn, and Bouye also made buckets to add to the run, so the bench mob went on a 12-4 run to get an 8-point lead with 8 minutes left. Pod started hitting some tough shots and got the Warriors the lead with 3 minutes left in the game, but the Suns started cooking and Brooks was able to hit a shot that gave the Suns a 7-point lead, but Brooks got caught for a flagrant foul, and the Warriors were able to tie the game up with 30 seconds left in the game. Book was able to hit a tough bucket to give the Suns a 2-point lead, but Steph Curry got fouled on the other side and hit 2 free throws to tie the game up again. Shout out to Goodwin, he got an offensive rebound after Brooks missed his shot, and Goodwin was able to hit one of his free throws to win this game for the Suns. Overall, this was a good game where Book looked like Book in the second half, but Brooks does need to relax a little bit at the end of games because the Suns could have easily lost to the Warriors. The Warriors beat the Suns in a close game. In the first half of this game, it seemed like the Suns were going to blow out the Warriors. At the end of the first quarter, the Suns shot 71% from the field and had a 12-point lead, with Book and Brooks going off in the first quarter. It really felt like the type of game where the Suns were going to dominate the Warriors. But in the second quarter, the Suns made a lot of mistakes defensively. They couldn't get rebounds and they weren't hitting shots. So the Warriors were able to cut the lead to 2 at halftime. I think the biggest reason this game changed is because Draymond got ejected. I know that might sound crazy, but I've been listening to a lot of Warriors fans, and each one has said that Draymond has not been good enough defensively to make up for how bad he's been offensively this season. And it's true, when Draymond is out there, you don't have to worry about him coming out of nowhere and hitting 6 threes. So the Suns can leave him a little open and focus on other players, which makes it harder for them to score. In the third quarter, the Suns continued to make mistakes defensively and not get any rebounds. Plus, they couldn't hit any threes. After shooting 6 for 10 from 3 in the first quarter, the Suns shot 3 for 17 from 3 in the second and third quarter. Jimmy also scored 12 points to give the Warriors a 6-point lead at the end of the third quarter. The Suns and Warriors continued to trade buckets throughout the fourth quarter, with the Warriors being in control most of the time, and they even had an 11-point lead with 7 minutes left in the game. But the Suns, like they've done all season, continued to play hard. Even when they were down 7 points with 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game, the Suns were able to cut the lead to 1 with 10 seconds left in the game with a call in 3. But the Suns weren't able to close this game out because the refs for some reason didn't want to call an intentional foul on Steph. The refs aren't the biggest reason the Suns lost this game, but that sequence was just weird. But the biggest reason the Suns lost this game is because they couldn't get any rebounds. If they were playing the Rockets, I would understand not being able to get rebounds, but the Warriors were a small team, so you shouldn't be losing the rebounding battle by 15. If the Suns just rebounded a little better in this game, they could have won. The Suns dominated the Lakers. In the first quarter, the Suns and Lakers were trading buckets with each other most of the time, until the bench came in for the Suns. Once they came in, they won an 18-6 run to give the Suns an 8-point lead with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. And the MVP of that run has to be Bue. That man kept attacking Austin Reeves every time he saw Reeves was in front of him. The Lakers were able to cut the lead to 3 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. But the Suns had a quick 13-4 run towards the end of the second quarter to give the Suns a 13-point lead, with Brooks and Williams scoring a combined 10 points. I'm happy that the Suns were rewarding Mark Williams in this game. He's always rim running and sealing his guy to get easy buckets, but the Suns don't reward him enough by passing him the ball when he does stuff like that. The Suns went crazy in the beginning of the third quarter. They went on a 22-7 run to give the Suns a 25-point lead. Mark Williams was the MVP of that run. He scored 8 points during that run by attacking the rim and finishing when he got fouled. Brooks also helped by scoring 12 points in the third quarter. It felt like he was hitting everything to make sure the Lakers didn't go on another run. The Suns ended the third quarter with a 26-point lead, and the Lakers were never able to get it close. Overall, this was a good team win with everyone having a good moment. But my favorite moment of this game has to be when Brooks went to high-five LeBron after he missed a free throw. LeBron's reaction gets me every time. The Suns beat the Pelicans in a close game. The first quarter of this game was just sloppy from both sides, and that shouldn't be a surprise since it is the holidays. I mean, the Suns had 7 turnovers in the first quarter, and most of them was just because of miscommunication. But the good thing is that the Pelicans only scored 3 points off those turnovers, so the Suns had a 3-point lead after the first quarter. In the second quarter, we finally got to see some Fleming minutes. He missed a couple catch and shoot threes, but Fleming saw that he wasn't making those shots and started driving towards the rim. He then made back-to-back shots to give the Suns a 2-point lead with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. The end of the second quarter felt like the Mark Williams show. He didn't score a lot, but it felt like he was dominating on both sides of the ball, especially after Mark Williams passed it to himself for a dunk. The Suns ended the first half with a 5-point lead. The Suns got hot in the beginning of the third quarter with Mark Williams, Dillon Brooks, and Colin hitting shots. The Suns had a 9-point lead with 8 minutes left in the quarter, but the Suns had some lazy turnovers, and the Pelicans were able to cut the lead to 4 with 7 minutes left in the quarter. The Suns and Pelicans continued to trade buckets, and the Pelicans were able to cut the lead to 1 at the end of the third quarter. This quarter was really weird because why are the Pelicans getting 16 free throws in one quarter, while the Suns for the whole game at this point only had 10 free throws? It got ugly in the fourth quarter. The Pelicans had an 8-0 run to have a 5-point lead with 8 minutes left in the quarter, but Book and Mark Williams started cooking. Book and Mark Williams combined for 18 points to give the Suns a 3-point lead with 2 minutes remaining. The Suns were able to keep building on that lead with the Ryan Dunn block and a lob to Mark Williams to give the Suns a 7-point lead and close this game out. This is another good team win for the Suns, especially when they couldn't hit any threes and were really sloppy in this game. The Suns beat the Pelicans again. In the first quarter of this game, it seemed like the Suns were in control of the game. They were getting a lot of second chance points and hitting shots at the right time to have an 8-point lead. But once Zion checked into the game, he started cooking and dropped 8 points in 5 minutes. So the Pelicans had a 1-point lead at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, the Suns went on a 16-5 run to give the Suns a 10-point lead. And the MVP of that run has to be Colin and Oso. Colin hit 4 threes to have 12 points. And Oso was creating space with his screens and passes to give Colin more space to shoot those threes. The first half ended with the Suns having a 10-point lead, and the Pelicans really couldn't go on a good run in the second quarter because they couldn't get rebounds. At this point, the Suns had 24 second chance points off 17 offensive rebounds. The Pelicans had a strong start to the third quarter with the Suns having some bad turnovers, so the Pelicans were able to cut the the lead to 2 with a 16-5 run, but the Suns responded back to the run, with Brooks and Goodwin hitting important threes to give the Suns an 8-point lead. And then for some reason, Jose Alvarado decided to be dirty and threw a punch at Mark Williams when Mark was just trying to get Jose off of him. I still don't understand why Mark got ejected when Jose started it, but the Suns were able to end the third quarter with an 8-point lead, and the bench mob continued to hold that lead with Bouye hitting some important shots. But once the starters came in, the Pelicans cut the lead to 2 with 3 minutes remaining. But again, the Suns responded and had a 7-0 run to give the Suns a 9-point lead with 1 minute remaining, and that run basically sealed the game for the Suns. This is another good win for the Suns, especially from Colin. He has 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, and he did that in important parts of the game where the Suns really needed it. I really hope the Suns are able to re-sign him in the offseason because he's going to have a lot of offers out there. The Suns blew out the Wizards. The first half of this game can be easily described as the Suns playing with their food. In the first quarter, the Wizards won a 12-2 run to have a 6-point lead. Book and Brooks were combined 3 for 13 from the field, but again, the bench mob got offensive rebounds, steals, and hit shots to cut the lead to 1 at the end of the first quarter. Early in the second quarter, the Suns were able to get a 1-point lead, but the Suns continued to be slow on defense, had bad turnovers, and not hit shots. The Wizards' biggest lead was 6, but the Suns finally woke up and won on a 12-2 run to give the Suns a 4-point lead. The MVP of that run has to be Brooks. He sparked that run by hitting back-to-back shots, but the young Wizards wouldn't go away and hit back-to-back threes to cut the lead to 1 with 50 seconds left in the second quarter. But the Wizards are a young team that still make mistakes and are bad defensively, so the Suns were able to end the first half with a 7-point lead, with Royce hitting a 3 and Book hitting a midi to end the first half. In the third quarter, the Suns started cooking and won on a 16-3 run to give the Suns a 15-point lead. The MVP of that run has to be all the starters. Royce, Brooks, and Collin all hit threes and Book hit a layup to get that lead. That run basically sealed the game for the Suns. The Wizards were able to cut the lead to 4 early in the fourth quarter, but it never felt like the Wizards were a threat to win the game. The Suns had a quick 5-0 run to give the Suns a 9-point lead, and they won the game by 14 points. Book and Brooks both scored 20 points, but the best player in this game has to be Collin. Brooks in the post-game interview called Collin Mr. Consistent, and he's not wrong. It feels like Collin always hits a 3 or a tough midi to give the Suns some much-needed offense when none of the starters are feeling it, and that's what Collin did for most of this game. He had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and shot 10 for 14 from the field. This man has just been cooking lately. The Cavs destroyed the Suns. The first half of this game was really bad for the Suns. The Suns just couldn't hit any shots and were slow on defense. In the first quarter, they shot 8 for 30 from the field, and they were getting offensive rebounds when they missed shots, but they just couldn't score. While the Cavs were hitting all their shots, that gave them a 20-point lead early in the second quarter. The bench mob did come in clutch though to cut the lead to 12, with Bouye scoring 12 points in 5 minutes. The Suns had chances to cut the lead to single digits in the second quarter, but the Cavs kept hitting important shots to keep their 13-point lead at the end of the first half. In the third quarter, Book tried his best to win this game for the Suns. He scored 19 points to cut the Cavs lead to 2 at the end of the third quarter, but with Book on the bench, the Cavs went on a 24-5 run to close this game out. It always sucks to lose a game, but this is their last game on a 4-game road trip where they went 3-1, so we can't be too annoyed. Plus, this felt like the type of game on a long road trip where they needed Jalen Green or Grayson Allen's energy or scoring. The Suns had a good December. They went 7-5 to be 5 games over 500. That's really impressive when you remember Book, Dunn, and Grayson Allen didn't play in some of those games. The Suns were able to win games that they were supposed to win against the Kings, Wizards, and Pelicans. They did get blown out a couple times by good teams like the Rockets, Thunder, and Cavs, but those losses aren't too bad since the Suns didn't have Booker for the games against the Rockets and Thunder, and I also don't think the loss against the Cavs was too bad. The Suns were able to cut the lead to 3 with Book towards the end of the third quarter, but the bench mob couldn't cook enough early in the fourth quarter to keep the game close, and I think the Suns bench deserves some slack because the Suns role players have had a lot of good performances this season that have helped the Suns win games, and the Suns shouldn't always depend on the bench to save them in a game. Overall, this was a good month, especially when you remember that Jalen Green didn't play in any of these games. The Suns have been able to depend on Collin, Goodwin, and Bouye to give them good minutes with Grayson Allen and Jalen Green out. I don't know if the stats would back it up, but it really felt like Collin was the Suns' second or third best player this month. When the Suns needed a shot to stop a run or get an offensive rebound, the Suns could always depend on Collin to hit a dagger 3, and Collin would always come out of nowhere to grab an offensive rebound to give the Suns another chance at scoring. But that's it for me today, guys. If you guys like this video, drop some comments down below, like the video, subscribe. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you guys next time.